Welcome to day 2, right? Day official 2 of Next 26. Thank you for being here. I am Lindsay Myers. I am the Vice President of our Global Go-to-Market Practice Organization at Google Cloud. And today, the most successful retailers are just winning because they have the most information. It's because they are absolutely reimagining retail. They are moving beyond simple automation to intelligent agentic systems. They're streamlining their workflows, they're securing their operations, and meeting customers at every single touch point. And so I'm really excited today to be joined on stage with Matt Ferrari, who's the head of MarTech Data and Machine Learning Platforms at Wayfair, and Michelle Bauman, who's the general manager of WIC, which is the emerging technology division of Woolworths. Both of them have led very large, successful AI transformations for their company. And so they're going to talk today about how they went about that, because it included rapidly skilling a very large employee base to be able to leverage that technology. And then I think what you'll hear is, in turn, how AI is becoming a competitive advantage for both of them. So I think we're going to get right into it with Matt. So Matt, just to kick off, could you tell us a little bit more about your role in Wayfair's business?
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Matt Ferrari. I lead our platforms organization at Wayfair. We'll talk about Wayfair in a second. But my challenge over the next 45 minutes is sitting still without pacing, as I'm a pacer. So try to hold me accountable to that. Wayfair, online, retail, and home goods organization. Hopefully many of you have heard of us. We have over 30 million products across our environment, so super complex environment if you think about Google and Google Cloud and our partnership. Wayfair was born online about 23, 24 years ago, but most recently has focused on the buzzword of omnichannel. So think about physical retail stores. About 40% of our addressable market, including my wife, likes to touch and feel their furniture, right? And so being able to provide an omnichannel experience, and we're going to talk a lot about agentic and AI and training today, is super, super important to Wayfair. In terms of what I do, I lead our platforms organization. So think about cloud and data and IT and ML and AI and security, things like that. And so I'm a nerd by nature, but really excited to be here with you all. In terms of Wayfair's business focus, Wayfair is focusing on how do we build agentic and automated capability to change the way that we talk to a consumer. And so we're going to talk a lot about that today. But picture, we're a big believer in that the ways of search, as an example, is becoming a dinosaur. And so we're using a lot of agentic design to redevelop that, and that's unlocked by a lot of the work we're doing with Google today.
And can you take us through a little bit more why skilling your employees is so important to that journey?
Yeah, sure. So within Wayfair, we really focus on how do we make our engineers curious. And so we're partnering with Google and other organizations to really upskill and train folks to leverage that curiosity, right? A lot of our 2,000 plus engineers are probably historically traditional software developers or traditional scientists or ML engineers, right? And so really focusing on how can they leverage the tools, the ML models that are constantly shifting, including this week, to be curious in the market is really, really important to us. And so we're really focusing on how do we get engineers to use kind of those cutting-edge technologies, because we're a believer that they are the folks that are going to drive transformative change across Wayfair. If you think about Wayfair, think about 20 to 25 years of, in some cases, legacy architecture and code. Over 6,000 tagged applications, right? And so a lot of that needs to be transformed. And so as we think about upskilling, we really need to focus on transformative change. And so that's what we partner on.
That is such a theme, that being curious. I was in another panel this morning, and over with AI, it is being curious, and that applies to every industry, every role, every part of your life. So I love it. So it sounds like upskilling is very important, it's critical, and part of the Wayfair culture. Now, Michelle, we're curious to hear about WIC, the business unit at Woolworths. Could you start us off telling a little bit more about your role?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Michelle Bauman. I'm a general manager at the Woolworths Group, and I lead WIC Labs. And that is a central team of AI experts. So we have disciplines across data science, AI engineering, product management. It's a central team, and we were formed about 2 years ago with the vision to really focus on new and emerging tech. And as you could imagine, the focus for us has very strongly been on generative AI and agentic AI. And really, my role is around leading that team, looking at what are some of the technical capabilities that we can build to scale across the group, and also looking at how we develop AI literacy. So across all of our organisation, that's a strong focus for us, and developing the roadmap of what are the most impactful use cases that we can deliver to really transform the ways of working for our team and for our customer experience.
It's incredible. It's only 2 years, like the evolution of what needs to come in order to meet the moment. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so now we understand the why of learning is so important. And now we're going to get into a little bit of the how. So Matt, we're going to go back to you, and maybe you can take us through your approach of how you've integrated learning through your organization to drive business outcomes.
Yeah, well, first off, let's talk about the partnership. As we think about enablement, we have a long-standing partnership with Google, and we focused on thinking about ways that we could not just think about writing more code or driving more metrics, but more about, the word was just said, business outcomes. And so what we really focused on was talking to Google about how do we do things like drive more transformation in our applications as we move away from a monolith. But some of them aren't technical. Some of them are, how do we drive features faster to a customer so that they can get their furniture quicker, right? You think about what Wayfair does. In some cases, we're delivering a 1,000-pound couch or bed to your home. It's pretty complicated. And that involves supply chain and global shipping and things like geo-sort, as an example, to have the right thing in the right location for you. And so partnering with Google and in this case, like the Gemini and for Vertex AI team, we really wanted to focus on how could we get folks trained and upskilled to focus on the market or the business problems. And the tech is the enablement that we use there. And so that was the key focus. In terms of the business, we focused on getting buy-in from the top, right, from our executive team. Yep. And so as we think about transformative change, we think about on the AI side and enablement, we think about, okay, how can we leverage AI to unlock business outcomes faster? Back to my earlier point about thousands of applications, you think about a developer who comes into Wayfair and probably doesn't have 20 to 25 years of context of all of the applications that have been written, right? And you think about some of the AI unlocks there for things like application dependencies or data dependencies and things like that. And so we've partnered with Google and Gemini and Vertex to think about those application dependencies so that we can feed them into repositories and understand how applications work. While all that can be technical, the truth is it starts again back from the top of the business, right? Ultimately, now they're thinking, okay, now I can deliver a feature faster for a customer and a supplier. And so that's kind of the unlock there. The last thing I would say is, as we think about learning, we focused on identifying champions. So internally, we have cross-functional teams, like I'm sure all of you do, right? Think about in retail, that might be supply chain or your mobile app team as two examples, right? Or your science team. And so finding champions that are committed to working on these AI tools and with learning teams to be an internal advocate. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but internally at Wayfair, we call that kind of like a culture of change, right? Mm-hmm. We're trying to drive transformation. I'm sure all of you probably have engineers and developers that some of them are power users and they're using these AI and agentic tools every day. Others are probably scared to death, right? And so working with the learning organization and finding those advocates is helping us drive cultural change. That's what I would say.
That's great. And for you, Michelle, why do you care about upskilling your workforce for AI? Seems like an obvious question, but.
Yeah, I think just the rate of change that we're seeing, like the context that we're working in, there's so many new releases, so much change across the technology that's available. And the investment that we make in that technology, it's really important that our teams understand how to get the most value out of it. So making sure that we've got our teams upskilled and that they can really close that gap between the investment and then what's the impact that we're able to drive with those great tools available to us is really important. Yeah. I think secondly, we've seen We've also had a similar sort of approach where we've developed a very strong AI community with our super users and enabling them to see what's available, what are some of the problems they can solve for themselves, and sort of creating that culture of innovation and changing their mindsets and thinking about how they can be AI first in the tasks that they carry out for themselves has been really impactful, and we've seen some really great solutions coming through where teams are able to solve problems for themselves and really improve their own workflows. I think probably the other element for us is for our very talented team members, they want to be working with the best tools. So we really see the importance of upskilling as a retention for our top talent as well, because they've got access to tools. We want to make sure they know how to get the most out of them, and that we're keeping pace with the industry as well.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, if you take the business challenge, the business goals, the tone from the top, the help, that has been a theme for both of you, who's helping in the team, and it just being embedded in the culture. It sounds like kind of three of the building blocks. So you are both clearly data people, which I love. And so maybe let's get into proof points. Every time I'm talking to customers, they're like, how do you make it real? Who's making it real? Who is getting the outcomes and the ROI that you're talking about? So if we go back to you, Matt, maybe can you highlight an example where Google Cloud Training or the credentials that we've partnered on directly enhance the ROI you're seeing in your organization?
Yeah, sure. First off, I would say that some of you have probably ordered something and you've probably gotten the wrong thing, right? Maybe you ordered a blue rug and you got the wrong dimensions for that blue rug, right? And so maybe you have your problem around, if you think Wayfair, around data being correct, or in our world, that would be product categorization. And so when we started working with Google on the training and enablement, we thought about specific use cases. The first use case was, how can we use Gemini for Vertex to speed up our product launches and our data curation in the categorization space? So picture millions and millions of SKUs, dimensions, colors, right? Think about how many tables that might be, and speed up how we actually tag our products. The outcome, sure, the outcome could be reduce some of our tech debt, but the true outcome is that we have less customer returns. The true outcome is that we drive up customer NPS, right? And so we really focused on specific use cases around how do we clean up our data with product tagging and categorization. That was huge. The result was a 6-figure annual savings due to the efficiency of the skilled team. We reduced returns, we increased NPS, and we actually reduced our technical debt. And so we measure that again in those 3 categories, and we save 6 figures just with those 2 use cases alone. And that was the initial unlock. Internally, we then, if we think about training, we then focused on internal case studies. So many of you may be in product. So internal case studies where we took that categorization and tagging and cost, let's say, avoidance, and we then got other champions to drive other use cases within Wayfair. And so that's the approach. The other one I would tell you is that I think it was stated really well around retention just a moment ago. We really focus on making sure the tools aren't just tools, right? You're not just installing an AI tool and leveraging an AI tool. We really wanted to focus on what is the actual business outcome. So to be specific, in Wayfair's case, it might be getting better product information into our catalog. Maybe if you've ever used the e-commerce website, you don't have a great description of what it is, or it's super generic. And so Wayfair used a lot of AI tools and technology to extrapolate, right? What are the dimensions of that thing? What is its durability? If I evaluate the 900 reviews on that product, what is the general audience that it would go to? Should it go to my daughter's room in her dorm, or should it go to the home that I'm building? And so we're leveraging AI and tools and technology to drive that. And so all of that is really powered by Gemini for Vertex and Workspace transparently. And so we've been focusing on that as an outcome.
Has that surpassed your expectations? Like, where are you at in terms of what you thought it would be and where you all are at on the journey?
It was,
to the return?
Oof, I like this. It was a slow start in full transparency, and what we're seeing is kind of the snowball now building.
Groundswell.
And so it was a very slow start. Again, a lot of folks that are very hesitant. Hey, I've done it this way for 20 years.
Yep.
I know my data. In Wayfair's world, a lot of the apps have been custom and homegrown.
Yep.
And so, so it was a trust but verify situation for a while, but now we're seeing the groundswell.
I think it's great. I asked you that because that, I think, is pretty consistent with what a lot of our customers and partners see is it is that slow start, and they're looking for the unlock. And I feel like these components of the unlock have been the culture you're driving, and then just being relentless on the skilling and getting everybody trained up, because the reality is habits are very hard to change. It's hard for me.
Indeed.
You know, we all worked a certain way and now we're working a different way. But as soon as you see that outcome, you're like, oh, this is better. I like it. So great. So Michelle, can you share some examples of the direct impact that you've seen from Google Cloud's premium learning services, like our advanced solution labs for AI and ML?
Yeah, so over the last few years, we've forged a really strong relationship with the Advanced Solutions Lab and also with our local Google team as well. And I think just as generative AI was really taking off across the industry, we wanted to find a way to upskill our team very quickly. So we took a cohort of some of our top talent from across the WIC team, and we sent them across to California for a 2-week program, which was a very intense, immersive sort of environment. And we worked with the ASL team to really curate what's the program of learning that we wanted to cover during that time, to really meet the team where they were at, but also look at some of the strategic use cases that we had on our radar and what we were looking to deliver for the business. And so they were able to help curate that content for us, and then it's a combination of some lecture style learning that they do, and then there's a very practical component where they're building with the tools, with the support of the ASL team, and really looking to deliver high value proof of concept during a 2-week period. So we ran that for the first time in 2024, and we saw such phenomenal results that we've made it, we call it our annual boot camp. And so for the following year, we invited the ASL team to come to Australia.
I bet they like that.
Yes, I hope they did. And so we were able to expand the audience then. So we took a cohort of 25 team members, and based on the experience that we had in the first round, we sort of said, okay, here are some very, our top use cases that are coming through. Here are the products that we really want to build. And we spent the time to curate the data, find a business sponsor, make sure that we had SMEs in place to answer questions as the team went along. And the result was really phenomenal. So we had 5, we call them capstone projects that were delivered through the boot camp. And they ranged from looking at building agentic workflows for our marketing team to financial insights and commentary, and another one around looking at product compliance checks for the food products that we build in-house. 4 out of the 5 have been in production now and are reaping the results, so we're realising benefits from those. And then we've just finished our most recent boot camp last month, and we delivered 4 capstone projects from that, and 2 of those are moving into production this quarter, and then we've got plans to move the other 2 later into the year. So we really see it as a way to accelerate our development cycle and also draw on the great expertise of the ASL team to help us solve the most complex problems and make sure we're using the newest techniques, we're using the latest tools available to us. So it's been
That's great.
really
It's like
valuable.
Textbook perfect of the partnership. I love it, but it's also great to see how fast those outcomes are coming for
Yes,
you.
it's very energizing and certainly engages the executive team in terms of the art of the possible.
Yeah, I love that. So what does the future of learning look like for WIC or Woolworths Group as a whole, and how can Google continue to support you? Want to be your best partner?
Well, I think we've got a very close partnership, and we're able to partner with our local team to help us curate what those courses look like. So we've got regular sessions in the diary where we do lunch and learns that the Google team host for us. We also do a lot of knowledge share sessions. So on a monthly basis, we have knowledge shares that we put into calendars and to help really engage the team. We also get support. So whether there are specific techniques or new products coming out that we want to go on a deep dive with, we get access to our masterclass sort of experts that will come and help host those sessions for us, or black belt sessions as well. So a lot of ways that we're really partnering with Google to leverage their great expertise, and the team then we look to share that across the broader cohorts.
That's great. And Matt, what about you? What does the future of learning look like for Wayfair?
Yeah, I think Michelle said it beautifully. I would say within Wayfair, we focus pretty deeply on boot camps for specific skill sets. In our world, personas, right? Maybe it's an ML engineer or a data scientist, and we focus on that. As we think about the future, while this is not a AI cost containment conversation, I would tell you that it's really around agility. Michelle, I think, said it wonderfully when she talked about like latest tools. I would say that, Wayfair is deeply focusing on not boxing in our engineers and allowing them flexibility to use different models, different AI technologies, and obviously Gemini helps with that. And so providing that kind of agility is wildly important as we think about the future of our learning, to encourage folks, again, to really drive that curiosity. I would say that there's also a deep focus on, this sounds old school, but it is truthful, on gamification as well. And so we're working with our learning teams to really gamify and encourage folks to be curious around these tools and these technologies. And so that is a key driver as well.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you, Michelle and Matt, for your terrific insights. I love that they were very specific. People are looking for specific use cases, the real, and not just the talk of how AI is being applied. And I think that both of you have approached your transformations from a different place and a different approach, but it's been great to see the partnership and that all of that is resulting in your company's ROI, and I think that it's just table stakes to be skilling our employees to be able to leverage these investments. So of course, here at Google Cloud, we are committed to supporting this journey through our Google Skills for Organizations. It's a learning platform that offers more than 3,000 AI labs and courses. Many of them are free. So a lot of what we were talking about is actually free to organizations. And then we do have industry premium offerings that Michelle was talking about, where we can train your entire workforce and help increase those AI skills. And we can do all of that now. This is not something we're thinking about or doing in the future. As you can see, it's happening now, and we would love to do that and continue to partner with more of our customers and partners. And I'll just put that up there if you want to learn more. That QR code right there, so you can feel free to whip out the cameras, can give you more information and connect you directly to what we were talking about.